Hello, Sangha. Today is Thursday, February 22nd, 2018. So it's nice to be here again and to be connecting with everybody in the Abbot's Address. I think I've done, 3 or some of these pretty consistently. I've got a little kind of space in my Thursday morning. This is a lovely way to spend some of it with you and to connect. So thank you for checking these out. I'd like to ask up front that if you can, do this thing where you go to YouTube, create a YouTube account and subscribe, because that makes it much easier for these things to get to you. And you can even click a little button somewhere, I'm told, and it'll send you an announcement when these are posted. And that's probably the easiest way to keep a hold of these things. So do that if that makes sense. So let's continue with the conversation. Some time ago, I asked for queries and input, things people would like, and now we're at the point of discuss. This again, another huge topic. Discuss the vastness of the Buddhist tradition and its important writings. Right? Okay, we can do that. And I think that this will be archived as some kind of a fool's reference guide or something. But anyway. All right, so the answer that I have for this is that actually the thing that I would want you or encourage you to connect with first is not so much the scriptures and the sutras and stuff. Pug alert. Those are good, and we'll talk about them. But the first thing I would actually hold up is the lineage of the ancestors. Okay, so there's a kind of a little bit of different way in there. And that is what I recommend if you really want to understand something about the Zen tradition from its writings. Okay, then what I'm going to do is say, let's look at the ancestors and let's look at what we have from those folks. And there's something very useful, I think, in starting with Bodhidharma and kind of working through in some kind of chronological order all the different teachers and what they had to say. And when I did this process myself, I could see how the thing developed, how there's a really strong Taoist kind of vibe going on for a while, and then how that shifted and got incorporated and all this kind of stuff. See, so now it's a ton of work for any of us to try to figure out how to do that on our own. I didn't have to, thank goodness. So when I was first recognized as a Shuso and was empowered to give talks and stuff like this, it was with Rinsen Sensei. And she, I think that was in 06 or 7 or something like that. But anyway, she turned me on to an amazing resource that I'd like to share with you. So this is what I did. Okay, this is a book called The Roaring Stream, if you can see it there, The Roaring Stream. It's by Nelson Foster, okay. A new Zen reader. It's some 20 years old at this point, but nonetheless, we'll go with the ever young sounding, a new Zen reader. And what this does is precisely what I kind of laid out. It goes through, and I think there's 46 chapters or 42 or some auspicious number like that, and it goes through, and clearly it's not exhaustive. In my lineage, which includes Aitken Roshi, which was Nelson's direct teacher, I'm the 87th generation. So there's some that aren't in the book, but really this starts with Bodhidharma, and this does a really good job. Nelson is somebody who was he's Aitken Roshi's direct disciple and Dharma heir, and he took over the shop in Hawaii, and he's got a place in the western U.S. also now, and he's a great guy, and tells great stories of Aitken Roshi, and was a very spirited dude. I have to say we had some interesting encounters together. And I really value him and his view and everything. And in our lineage, the koan curriculum that we do is the Harada Yasutani Soto reform kind of system, I guess. And that comes to us from Aitken Roshi to John Tarrant. And John Tarrant was kind of a peer to Nelson. So they're kind of like Dharma siblings, you could say. And then John Tarrant transmitted to James Ford, to myself, and so on. So he's got the author of this book is kind of in the family, which is kind of cool, and I like his take on a lot of these things. So it starts. Let's see here. Starts with Bodhidharma, and then Sung Song, and then Hui Neng, and Yung Chia, and Wang Wei, and Shi Tao, and Matsu, and Han Shan, and Pai Chang, and it keeps going. And for each one of these, the thing I really like is that there's a little kicker about the history of the ancestor and something of what was going on in the time. I think history matters, and seeing the context, at least a little bit, of which these folks are kind of living in helps to understand the direction that their Dharma goes in to some degree. And it's worth doing. So now it happens to be that what Nyotai Sensei did is she said, okay, get this thing and then start at the first one and just work through them. And good luck. And so I did. And those are actually recorded on the podcast. Now, for a long time, the podcast has been called the Drinking Gourd Podcast, and we're kind of in the process of shifting the title of that to Buddhist Temple of Toledo Podcast, or maybe Zen Buddhist Temple of Toledo Podcast. We got to figure it out, I guess. But they're there, and so what you can do if you want to is I ended up doing a workshop on each one of these. I think all of them or a bunch of them, I forget. But it's a series called Encountering the Ancestors, and I think I did a monthly hangout with each one or something, I forget. But anyway, there's some pretty substantial effort that I went into with each one of these folks in turn that got recorded and that got released and is there for free. It's out there on the podcast. So I think some devoted folks are trying to scurry through the old podcasts. I think there's almost 300 of them now or something, and pick out the relevant, and we're going to include the links here. So another way in would be to just put those in your whatever podcatcher you use or whatever, and just sort of have them in the car and check out the ancestors that way. And just, let these things just kind of wash over you. When you do this kind of Dharma study, there's lots of ways to do it. And one of the ways is to just encounter it and let it just kind of bathe you, and whatever seems to stick and resonate, go with, and whatever is obtuse, doesn't make sense, don't worry about it, and just sort of keep encountering the stuff, That's a useful way in sometimes. If you try to make sure you're crystal clear on every single thing ever said by anyone in order, then you're never going to finish anything, so... So there it is, The Roaring Stream by Nelson Foster. My go-to. There are others. Zen's Chinese Heritage is a fantastic resource, etc. But let's just pick one. Now, there is a resource that's out now. It's by Harvard University called Buddhism Through Its Scriptures, I think. It's an online course. I've not personally sat through it. I mean, I've looked at a few of the things. It seems pretty dry to me, but it might be great. Some people that I respect highly have held it up as existing. So that's another thing. I can't say for myself anything about the scholarship involved, although it's Harvard, so that says something. I don't know the folks personally, and I haven't gone through the course, nor do I think I intend to. I mean, maybe. I don't know. If some of you do and you think it's amazing, I'll be more likely to. We'll see. But here's the entryway, okay? And then I think what we'll do next is address some of the sutra that were kind of informative with these ancestors and things, but that'll be for another moment. Okay, so in announcements, get my little schedule thingy, Ongo approaches, okay? Ongo approaches quite soon. In fact, we have our Ongo opening session is happening on the 1st of March. That's Thursday. That'll start. And 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then the Ongo opening ceremony is in fact March 4th. So it's happening. And again, I really want to emphasize as much as possible physical participation in that Ongo opening ceremony. If you can't, you can't, and that's fine. But if you can, and you're thinking, go. Come be a part of that opening ceremony. There's value and merit to this. It matters. Okay, so we come together at the beginning. And then immediately the next week, March 6th through the 11th, which is a Tuesday, we have the Teachings Retreat. And that's where we're going to get together at the temple It's a 9 to 5 kind of thing with a break for lunch in there. The sessions are modular. You can pick and choose and come as you can, or just do the whole thing. But it's going to be about death and dying, and we're going to go into it pretty deeply. And so please come for that and be a part of things. It's going to be, those things are always very well received. And there's a lot of work that's gone into preparing this one, and clearly an important topic for everybody. Impermanence, living, dying, grieving. Oh my goodness. Okay, a deep well. And frankly, to live life in the light of the impermanence of life brings more life to life. So let's do it. Let's go there. Okay, thank you, everybody. It's good to be connecting. Feedback is welcome. Subscriptions are cool. Thank you for your practice.